Today's a good day because I'm going to be talking about CPU air coolers. Now the CPU air coolers I'm going to be talking about is the ones that are really big and the ones that are really small. So if you've got a really big case, I'm going to have a really big CPU air cooler for that. If you've got a really small case, I'm going to have a small one for you. If you've got one in between, well, we're going to work that out in the video. And also, it's going to have bench testing. So we're going to bench test the CPU and see how loud the fan goes and how well it performs. Also the colour and aesthetics and the ease of use of using these CPU air coolers and how quick it is to assemble and then actually put it into an actual build. So I'm going to start off with picking up the biggest Raijintek CPU air cooler that I could find on the net, and this is the Raijintek Tisis, and yeah, it's a bit of a beast. And this is going to be going on my test bench. Well, we're all going on test benches. Well, one test bench, not all, you know what I mean. And basically this fits onto the 6700K, which is 1151 socket, and it also works with AMD as well. We've also got the Tranquillo Rev 4. Now, this is made by Gelid, and Gelid is a well-known brand of making thermal greases or thermal compounds to go under the CPU. They also work with a great wall recording company called EK, which you might have heard of. So this CPU also fits the 1151 socket and AMD as well. Next up, we have the Scythe Fuma. Now, as I said again, 1151 socket and AMD as well. This is kind of like a medium to large actual CPU air cooler. We're going to be putting this on the test bench as well. Last but not least, we've got the Silverstone NT08, and this is a great performing CPU air cooler. It's nice and small, so it can fit in really big cases and really small cases, and it's better than your Intel stock coolers. Thinking about Intel, this doesn't work with AMD. So I'm going to start off with the Raijintek Tisis. So I'm going to move these out of the way, and then we're going to start with this one first. So well, looking at the box, it looks lovely. Got the Raijintek logo up there and Tisis, and then it's got all the details and description which you will want to normally find if you're buying a CPU cooler off the shelf. It's got all the relevant details there, a little bit what it looks like. This is how it comes without the fans, and then the different colour fans that you can get, and this is what it looks like when it's finished, and a little description about it. So let's open the box. I've already kind of opened this one up already, but this is what the assembly is going to be about. So I'm looking at the cables and that, it's really nice, looks cool. Now I've got to get out of the box. Oh, this looks a bit of a mission. So your one will obviously come in a better pre-packed box, but we've got a nice copper copper piping. It looks very aggressive, and it looks like it's going to definitely air cool your CPU. It's got a nice shiny base there, and the fans, we're going to assemble it and see how long it takes. And I'm going to be putting it on my test bench, so this should help. So you get loads of brackets. You get loads of brackets, and the brackets being that you can be for all the old school AMD stuff and all the new school Intel or old school Intel. So you just got everything for everything. So that's pretty cool. So I'm just going to pull everything out, and make loads of noise while I'm doing it, and see how easy it is to assemble. So I've got some thermal grease here, and I'm going to put the thermal grease on the CPU, which came with a packet. Like all CPU coolers, they should come with thermal grease. Now I'm just going to place the thermal grease on the motherboard, on the CPU, only a little bit. about to turn it on and hopefully it will boot up. 3, 2, 1. Wow. It worked. As you can see, it's posted as well. I've already got information on the actual solid state drive using a I'm using a Trion 150 OCZ SSD, which has got read speeds of 500 or up to 550 megabytes per second read and write speeds. Using a Crucial DDR4 266 megahertz, and that's quad channel memory. It's the newest range from Crucial. And I'm not using any graphics cards, I'm just using onboard graphics because I'm just talking about the CPU and actually CPU air coolers. So I'm going to restart it, get to the BIOS and see how much temperature is idling at, to see if it's like a really great thermal grease we're using. And as you can hear, it is super silent. So I have got the Raijintek on the actual workbench. We've got one, what have we got? We've got some RAM there by Crucial, and this is DDR4, and it's quite a decent new up-to-date bit of RAM. It's like 3000 megahertz. We're using a Gigabyte GA H170 HD3, and it's quite a fairly new motherboard, pretty cool. And we've got a 6700K processor in there as well. We're going to be using CPU ID, and we're going to use Windows interface to show you the CPU temperature going up. And we're going to use CPU Z so you can see that what's on the screen, and it's not overclocked or anything like that. And we're going to see just how the CPU does with stress testing it using Prime 95. And then we're going to check the temperatures and see what the basic temperature is, and kind of like what the temperature can reach with that CPU cooler by staying cool and not being really loud and annoying. And it gives you kind of an idea whether you'd use that sort of CPU cooler for gaming, or a silent sort of computer for HTPC to watch movies and stuff, or anything. It just gives you value by watching this video. So first off, I'm going to show you quickly what CPU I've got in there, which is 6700K Core i7 Skylake processor at 95 watts TDP, core speeds at 4000 megahertz, so it's like 4 gigahertz, no overclocking or anything like that. And I'm just going to use Prime 95 now. So at the moment CPU has it's just idle at 3%, 4 gigahertz. Memory hardly anything, disk hardly anything, infinite spiking all over the place. CPU temperature is around 25 degrees for first core, 25 for the other, to 26, 24, 25. So I idle in between 23 to 26 degrees, and yeah, let's give it a test and see what happens. Right, so I've got a little interface up, and we're going to go to small FFTs, maximum heat, FPU stress, data fits into L2 cache, RAM not tested as much. So I'm going to click on that, and at the moment, if we listen very carefully, you could hardly even hear that with these massive fans that are on the Raijintek CPU cooler. It's hardly even making any sounds, but we want to hear the progression of noise from when I'm going to actually ramp the CPU to like a torture. So I want to stress test it and get it to its optimal, or I want it to feel like it's going to have heat throttling problems. I want to see how this handles it and how it dissipates heat. Now I'm going to put the Prime 95 on, and that's okay. And as you can see, CPU is running at 100%, memory's not touched, disk not touched, infinite not touched. And we're going to run this for around 5 minutes. Then we're going to look at CPU Z, and we've got a core temperature of 65 degrees, 62 degrees, 61 degrees, 61 degrees. So all different kind of core elements in degrees, but let's see if it gets to 70 or anything like that, or it can stay stable. It's getting a little bit louder. So what I've actually noticed is that I've had this on for 5 minutes, and obviously I had the computer on before that as well for at least an hour. And the thing is, I just forgot to say that it is around 30 odd degrees outside, but inside here it's quite cool. It's around 22 to 23 degrees, so it's not too bad. And this CPU cooler is doing alright, considering it hasn't got any other airflow blowing over the actual motherboard. It's only got the CPU cooler that we're actually concentrating on, so the MOSFETs and the bits of like, well, all around the CPU cooler, which you can't see underneath there, that's going to start to get heated up, and it's not really much way of like dissipating the heat unless you've got some like a fan blowing over the board. But it's not doing too bad, so I'm going to stop that test right now. And basically the maximum it went up to 69 degrees of core, it was core 0, core 1 66 degrees, core 2 66 degrees, core 3 65 degrees. So all 4 cores around, the highest point was like nearly 70 degrees, and lowest core was 65 degrees. And it says a minimum of 22 degrees across all cores, which is really damn cool for like a CPU air cooler, not water cooled. And it's gone back to quietness straight away. That's a decent CPU air cooler. Let's see what the temperature's going down to. Straight away down to 29, 29, 29, 28. That is really pretty cool. How hot it was going, and then it just calmed straight down within seconds, and then it's basically calm. So if you're gaming, you could have that up really hard and ramped up hard with the fan, and then play your game, and then after you finish and you want to watch a movie or something, it will quieten down. That's really sick. So on to the next CPU air cooler. What we're going to do now, we've got the Tranquillo. This is by Gelid, and Gelid also do the thermal paste with obviously EK and water cooling and all that sort of stuff in another video down the line. But anyway, this is sort of a medium sized one. This is what it looks like if you go to the shop and buy it from off the shelf. This fits the 11 sort of sockets at Intel 6700Ks, 6800Ks. Doesn't fit like the 2011 version 3 boards, but it does do AMD and stuff like that. But links will be in the description down about all these CPU air coolers, because it will take me ages to go through all of them. So I'll just put the links in the description down below. Now what we're going to do is that we're going to take this, open the box and assemble it, and see how easy it is and how quick it is. So let's get on with it. Right, so we've got the Tranquillo on the test bench. Now this CPU cooler is more for the smaller or medium sized case, and it is quite cool. I've turned it on and the airflow goes up and down. It's only using one fan at the moment, whereas the Raijintek was a lot bigger. That's for a bigger case, and it's using 2 fans and a lot bigger. But I like the way it looks and stuff, and it was quite fairly easy to put together. So what we're going to do, CPU air cooler. The CPU at the moment is idle and it's at 4 GHz. So now we're going to do is show you the temperature quickly, and it is still around 20 odd degrees in here, so it's around 23 max in here. In the CPU cooler it's saying a minimum of 25 degrees, 26 degrees, 25, 24. And that's pretty cool. So let's put a little stress test on it and see what happens. At the moment there's no stress test, idle. Where's the Prime 95? Get Prime 95 on, and we're going to stress test it. So we've got that going, and as you can hear, it's ramped up. CPU's at maximum 100% load, and we're going to run this for 5 minutes as well. Now this is shot up straight to 67, 68 degrees. Core 1's at 64 degrees, Core 2 65, and Core 3 65 degrees. So let's have a look to see which is kind of similar. And this has only got 1 fan, and it's not as big as the other one as well. So now I've been actually gazing at the interface, and I could see that it's hit to 73 degrees. 71 degrees, and 70 degrees. So it's not too bad, because it's only got one 120mm fan on the actual CPU air cooler. It's not actually quite loud. It's been going for 5 minutes. It's not that loud if you have a listen. It's actually quite audible. It's alright. It's not annoying. And remember, there's no airflow over the motherboard, but everything's really cool. So let's move on to the next test.
Oh yeah, check out these beautiful cables. Custom to any color you like. 8-pin, 6-pin, EPS connectors, 24 connectors. Oh yeah, Shagmods, shut your mouth. Check out their website.
Right, so now we're going to test the Fuma. This is the next one. This is the third CPU air cooler. This is for 1151 socket. And it says Intel and all above, and it also works with the 2011 version 3. So overall, you can use it for all the Intel platforms and all the AMD platforms as well. So that's pretty cool. So now we're going to just test it, see how long it takes me to put it all together, and yeah, let's get it on the test bench and see what the temperatures are going to be. Quite impressed so far. So let me get this out. Right, I finally got the Fuma air cooler on the motherboard. Now, this one actually fits in medium to large cases and small cases. It's pretty cool. It's got 2 fans on there, 120mm. It's also got a straight connector that will use for one on the CPU header on the motherboard. So say that you've got 2 fans, one will go in the system fan, one will go in the CPU air cooler. That means one will go up, one will go down, different speeds and stuff. Well, this one combines it into one lead straight into the CPU header socket, and it's got 2 fans on there, and the fins, it feels like a better quality of a CPU air cooler. But at the moment it does sound louder than what it would the other 2. But obviously we're going to go through the test and stuff like that. This was quite hard to actually use. What I did is I used the Raijintek tool, which was like a big L, actually it's right here. So I used that to actually get in there to the screws, because my screwdriver wasn't thin enough to go in there. And plus they give you a little spanner, which would have took me ages just going like that. So obviously invest in one of them for the Fuma CPU air cooler. Anyway, let's get on with it. And obviously 6700K processor, RAM and everything's all on there. CPU's idling 4 GHz. Now let's get prime and start like stress testing it. So right, CPU's at 100% load. Fans are going up in decibels. It's definitely a lot louder than the other CPU air coolers. We're going to leave this for 5 minutes as well. We're going to check the temperature quickly. Where's the temperature? So we've got between 63 and 64 degrees on core 1 and core 0, 62 degrees on core 2, and core 3 is 63 degrees. So not too bad. So we'll leave this on for 5 minutes. So as you can see from the results, this one is definitely a lot more audible. It's definitely a lot louder than the other ones, even coming from it being ramped up all the way down. But it also has one of the best temperatures out of all of them so far. So I don't know, it's to do with your own preferences. But what we're going to do, we're going to try one more CPU air cooler. That one's for all small computers all the way to large ones, and it only has 1 fan. That's the Silverstone one. And let's get testing. Let's find out. So we've got the NT08, and this is the Silverstone and the last and final CPU test that we're doing. And this works with LGA 1150, 1151, 1155, 1156 socket, but it won't work with any AMD CPUs, and it won't work with any 2311 version 2s or 3 like motherboards. So this is what we're going to put into the next test. This is more like for a very small to medium case. You could put it in a large case, but why would you? But anyway, let's see how long this takes us to put this, to assemble it together and get it on the test bench, and then we'll check the temperatures of this as well. So just looking at this looks more like a very modern stock cooler Intel could actually do themselves. So it's got the screws and the springs built into the actual base anyway. It's got a small copper plate. Looks quite nice. Very small. It's got a bigger fan. Sounds quite quiet, but we've got to obviously test it. Cable is a bit like green, blue and yellow and black, and don't really like it, but it's still PMW, and it could be like, it's a good fan controller. But anyway, this should be fairly simple. So we've got the back plate, and then we've got this, and it should be just straightforward. And then obviously the CPU air cooler. So now all I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this open and use this thermal paste on the actual CPU. very surprised. That was the quickest and the easiest setup ever to just get a CPU cooler and stick it on there. If Intel started carrying out CPU coolers like that, it'd be alright, it wouldn't be too bad, but we'll see in the results. But yeah, that was like the easiest. Like, you've got the bracket on the back, you already got the screw threads there, slotted it straight onto the back and then screwed it on there. The only thing is, it didn't work. It doesn't work with AMD, and it doesn't work with the actual more powerful motherboards, which are like 2011 version 1, version 2 and version 3. And but still, for 1151 socket motherboards, it does really well. When you turn it on, it's like it ramps up really high and then it goes back down again and it's steady. At the moment, temperature's still the same in this room, and also the core temperature at the moment is 27 Celsius, 28 Celsius, 28 mixture of 27 to 29 degrees, 28 degrees, 27 and 27. So that's not too bad. Right, let's use Prime 95 on here. Obviously 6700K RAM and everything's still exactly the same, just a different CPU cooler. Now let's get Prime 95. Going to stress test this as the last test, and let me just show you that I'm doing. See, CPU's idle at 4 GHz, no overclocking, and here we go. It's going to get louder. Wow. Okay, this is freaking me out a little bit. Wow, okay. We're going to try and do this for 5 minutes. But at the moment, we're hitting like 79 degrees. And it's really letting off some air. 81 degrees. 82. So we've got us 84 on core 0. 85, 86, 87, 88. God, it's really giving it some, isn't it? Still keeping it cool. 90 degrees. Oh, I think I'm going to cut the stress test here. 91. It's gone. What? It's way too much. 92, yeah. I'm going to cut that test straight away. So I'm going to cut the test because it's way too hot for a CPU. It's ramped back down. Basically, I see that as not... Well, it's more of a stock cooler. But it's better than Intel stock cooler. But as you can see by the results, it hit such a high degree, I had to cancel it because I didn't want to endanger the CPU that's in there at the moment. But if I had a fan blowing over the top, maybe the temperatures might be a little bit different. But yeah, had to cancel that. Yeah, so that CPU, the CPU air coolers on your own preferences of how you would go out and buy it. This was the easiest, not the most attractive, but the most easiest and the easiest to get in a small medium case. If you had it overclocked, this CPU air cooler I would definitely not recommend. All the other CPU air coolers I would. I think the best one might have been a Scythe one. I think that might have been the best one, but I'll have a look at the results afterwards. But that one looked quite nice as well, but that was also the loudest one. The Raijintek was the more practical one. It was easier to put together because it gave you the tools to give it. There's so many different elements to it, but I actually feel that I actually enjoyed doing the CPU air cooling tests. It just shows like which one. You could go in the shop and you don't know all about this, but it also does depend on this. We're using like a 6700K, not 6700K. Yeah, 6700K. So that's like the top end of the 1151 socket processors, and obviously doing Prime 95, stress testing it, and it just shows like the Scythe held its own, the Raijintek held its own, and Gelid held its own. It was all their own thermal paste and thermal grease. This thermal grease on there was a little bit weaker, looked a bit more cheaper. Maybe if I used a different thermal grease, it might have been better, but I just wanted to do it as if you were going to buy a CPU air cooler, that you had the CPU air cooler thermal grease in the box, and you could just build it up and then put it straight into a build. But anyway, If you like this video, hit the likes because it's taken me hours to do this and I'm really hot and sweaty, and it's been fun. But if you dislike it, leave a comment down below, tell me what you thought and what I should have added or what you didn't like about it. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one, because the next one might be AIO, so that'll be water cooling all in one on the test bench. See ya.